Hello, friends. Welcome to Level Up with Debbie Neal. I am your host. There is nowhere I would rather be than right here, right now with you. This podcast is all about leveling up in all aspects of our lives. Thank you for being here. I am so grateful. I'm excited to be on this journey with you. Together, we are leveling up. You ready? Hello, my Level Up family. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I think I say that every single week, but every single week I'm so excited. But I love the topic we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to be talking about living a generous life. And so when we think of generosity, I think about like elevation. I think about going higher because generosity is a huge part of elevating. Like you're growing, you're expanding. The reality is leaders are generous. They're generous with their knowledge. They're generous with their time. They're generous with their heart. They're generous with their words. They're generous with their finances. They're givers. And so to me, leadership is all about elevating and helping others elevate by really lifting others. So we hear this all the time. People do what people see, right? People do what people see. So whatever you do for a living, like you're the way, you're the example, whether that's in your professional life, whether that's in your relationship, whether that's, a parent. People do what people see, right? So you are the potential, you are the bigger vision, the bigger thinking, the bigger mindset, the bigger your life, right? So you are that potential. And every single day we have a choice. We have a choice to live in abundance or to live in scarcity. So you could hear that like, well, it's based on my bank account or it's based on what I earn. No, it's not. Abundance and scarcity is your thinking, not your bank account. I want to make that very, very clear, right? I remember, and I talk about this often, like when I started my business, if you looked at my bank account, I don't know, I feel like I kind of look broke. Maybe I had like $4,000 in my bank account, but I knew that I had a millionaire mindset. Okay. So we get to decide if we're going to live in abundance or scarcity. And every single day we have a choice. It is a very deliberate decision. I want you to picture a closed fist, okay? A closed, tight fist. And so when we're holding on to something so tight, right? Maybe you're not going to lose that. So maybe that's like a relationship that's not working or a job that you know it's time to go or a business that you know it's ready to expand in or it's finances. Maybe you're like literally holding on to that last dollar with every single thing you have. You might not lose what you have, but you can't grab onto what's meant for you because your fist is closed too tight. Your fist, gosh, it could be closed with time, right? Like I only have a little bit of time. I got a little bit of time. It could be closed with love. It could be closed with words. It could be closed with knowledge. Certainly money, like just gripping on. We choose the world that we live in. And this podcast today is inspired by a sermon that John Maxwell did at my church. So he definitely gave like some great examples. He gave some great Bible scripture that I'm actually going to go over those verses. And then, of course, like every single thing I listen to, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this could be applied to when I think of my business in particular, I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be applied to that. This could be applied to my team. This could be applied to my company. I could take every single thing and apply it. And I think most of us can do that exact same thing. So I want to share the points he made. And I really just want to add my heart on every single point. So our goal is to live a generous life. So like, think about it. What does a generous life look like? Like, what does that mean? And we may all have a very different definition of what it is, but my belief is that God made us to be givers, like to live out his purpose for our life, to be abundant. Like I believe prosperity is our birthright. And I just so believe in the power of abundance. So today I'm going to be going over generous living. And generous living means 5 things, okay? So number 1, we live a yes life. Like, what does that mean? How do we live a yes life, okay? So I want you to like really think about this. It's about filling your minds with good, filling it with the best scenario, the most positive thoughts. Choose good things to think about. We have that choice every single day. We get to choose our thoughts. The number one thing we only have that we do have control over is what we think about. So we have a choice. It's your call. When we fill our minds with good thoughts, or maybe we're thinking about love, we're thinking about prosperity, we're thinking about growth, we're thinking about solutions, we're thinking about what we're grateful for, we're thinking about success, we're thinking about health, we're thinking about all these things. Choose what you're going to think about. Fill your mind with those thoughts, right? And then you're going to act on those thoughts. Our thoughts become our beliefs. I feel like I'm a broken record with this line. Our thoughts become our beliefs. Our beliefs dictate our actions. Okay. So if you want to live a yes life, right, you can't be thinking of defeat and then expect to level up and take steps in your life. You can't be thinking of how a relationship didn't work and then expect to go out on that skinny branch and tell somebody how you feel. You have to fill your mind with those positive thoughts. Our beliefs dictate our actions create our life. That's how we live a yes life. The biggest gap between successful people and unsuccessful people is the way they think. The world you think about is the world that you receive. And that's an absolute fact. If you fill your mind with fear, you're not living a yes life. If you fill your mind with what can go wrong, you're not living a yes life. You'll never go for it if the fear of failure fills your mind. Now, we all have fears of certain things that come into our mind, but the idea is to replace that with the positive. You know, when we're focusing on fear, when we're thinking about fear, when we're allowing that to hold us back, that isn't a yes life. So How Successful People Think by John Maxwell is a book. It's a book that I've read, a bunch of times. And so order it, read it. And in this book, it goes over 11 patterns of thinking. And it's really simple. It basically says, if you want to be successful, focus on these 11 things. If you want to be unsuccessful, focus about thinking of these 11 things. And that's the way to live in scarcity and barely make it, by thinking of those 11 things. Most people focus on just getting by. Most people focus on, oh my gosh, what could go wrong? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this person does business with me? What if this person doesn't do business with me? What if this person thinks that I'm crazy? What if I put in all this effort and it doesn't work? Most people focus on what is wrong in a business, in a friendship, in a relationship. When you live a yes life, you have the ability to become a yes leader. That's the best. When we grow our leadership, right, we now have the ability to develop leaders, but we want to become a yes leader. And a yes leader is constantly breathing life and vision into others. They're saying yes, you can. Yes, you can. But the only way you're really going to say that to somebody with enthusiasm and meaning and passion is if you're living a yes life, if you believe you can, if you believe you can lead them there, if you believe you've got what it takes to coach them to be their very, very best. Your yes life is contagious. But then on the flip side, your scarcity life and your scarcity thinking is also contagious. So what are you planting? What are you planting in the mind and the hearts and the souls of the people that you're talking to every single day? So, number one, we continually sow seeds. The success of your day is about the seeds that you sow, not the harvest that you reap. And so often we're looking for the result. We're looking for the income. We're looking for the lifestyle. But what are you doing today to create that? What are you doing today to create that generous life? That's our goal, to add value to others and to serve, to make a difference, to intentionally sow seeds. Our potential for the future, for tomorrow, for next week, it's based on the seeds that you sow today. So what if somebody said to you, I want to have a great harvest tomorrow. I want to have great results tomorrow. I want to have a great business tomorrow. But they're not sowing anything today. They're not planting anything today. They're not doing anything today. You'd look at them like they are crazy. The ground doesn't produce by itself. We have to sow the seeds. And the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to be better for you than today is that you're sowing the positive seeds in your life. And you're also sowing those positive seeds for other people. When people wonder what their future is going to look like, what is my life going to look like? What is my health going to look like? What is my business going to look like? It all comes down to the seeds that you're sowing today. What are you doing today to move your life forward? Who are you sharing your vision with? Who are you telling your story to? How many people are you having conversations with? How many people are you serving? How many people did you express love and gratitude today? What did you plant today to harvest the goal that you really want to have in the future? And not just today, but every day. Okay. So every day, do 5 things. Do these 5 things intentionally, deliberately, consistently. Okay. And these are 5 things that John Maxwell goes over. Okay. Value people. Like, value people. You'll never sow seeds into the ground if you don't value the ground. And you'll never sow seeds in people if we don't value people. So that's about being kind, being generous. We hear all the time, people may forget what you say, but they're never going to forget how you made them feel. If we devalue people, we're never going to sow seeds in their life. Our goal is to lift other people up. We rise by lifting others. Every day, think of ways to add value to people. Every day, right? Look for ways to add value to people. Every day, do things to add value to people. And every day, encourage others to add value to people. Those 5 things every single day, and live that, because scarcity people, they're need thinkers. Like, so we know what a need thinker is. Like, I need this. I need that. I need sales. I need this promotion. I need people. I need income. Now, the reality is we all have needs, and I understand that. Like, needs are really real. We're never going to doubt the needs, but here's what I am going to doubt: the way you think. If you think need instead of seed, you're never going to have the abundance that you want in your life, because we meet our needs by planting the seeds and giving generously and making a difference in the lives of other people. Success is about service. It's about making a difference in the lives of others. So one of the things that John Maxwell went over in this sermon is he shared some scriptures. And I love the scriptures because, first of all, the number one personal growth book in the world is the Bible. Okay. Like, if you were to go back over time, it's the Bible. And you could, I don't want to say recently, but a few years ago, started to really like read more verses in the Bible and do my best to understand the Bible. And sometimes we could all read the same verse and hear totally different things. But when you could, like, I don't know if you've ever done this, just like randomly open it and read it. And I believe a lot of times I'm reading exactly what I'm supposed to be reading at that time. I pray before I open my Bible. But there's like, when you hear the words, it could all be brought to modern day mindset and training and belief and abundance. So let's think of the words of Jesus, okay? So give away your life and you'll find life given back, but not merely given back with bonus and blessing. So again, that's about giving. It's about serving. It's about, I mean, that's how you live a generous life, by sowing seeds and adding value to as many people as you possibly can. Okay. So number one, I have like a few random things numbered here. Okay. Number one, generous living means that we attract people to God. So Jesus said this, again, it's another verse. Jesus said we are to be salt and light. We make things better and brighter. Jesus says in Matthew 5:14, be generous with your lives by opening up to others, and you'll prompt people to open up to God. This generous Father in heaven. Okay. And then this Peter 4, chapter 7, be generous with the different things that God gave you, passing them around so all get in. If words, let it be God's words. If help, let it be God's hearty help. That way, God's bright presence will be evident in everything through Jesus, and he'll get all the credit as the one mighty in everything, on course to the end of time. So, like, in other words, if you get this abundant lifestyle, people, they look at you and they might say, like, how can you be so generous? Or how can you be so kind? Or how can you be so giving? And all of a sudden we become a testimony to who God is in us, who God is in us. And that's really huge, because an abundant lifestyle makes people hungry for God. And our goal is to make people hungry, right? And less angry, because there really is a lot of anger in this world. There's a lot of division in this world. And we receive more than we can ever imagine. One more verse. Okay. Like I was going to like leave a few out, but they were just all so good. And I have to say, I went back and then I read them and I made notes on them. And I feel like I could do a training on every single one of them. The world of the generous gets larger and larger. The world of the stingy gets smaller and smaller. The one who blesses others is abundantly blessed. Those who help others are helped. And this is huge. Let's really understand this. Like we don't give to get, right? So we're not going to be generous because we want more. And a lot of times people don't intend to be stingy when they get smaller and smaller. So we don't give to get. Giving is not a transaction. It's not like, okay, I'm going to wake up today and say, I'm going to help you today. And tomorrow I could hardly wait to see what's going to come back to me in my life. But so often that is done. But my belief is that when we give, we'll all be taken care of. But that's not the reason to give. The reason has to be from your heart. And this is part of living a generous life. You have to be giving with pure love, with pure joy, that the act of giving makes you like, I know I'm that way with like gifts. Any of like my gift givers out there, and I've definitely talked about this on a past podcast. Like I love birthdays. I love Christmas. Like I just love wrapping things. I love to watch the look on somebody's face when they open it. When you give, whatever it is, without any expectation of receiving, that's when the blessings come. We can't look up and expect things in return for giving. Focus on giving more than you receive, right? There's that thing called the exchange principle. Every single person passing through life will leave something and take something. But our goal is to leave more than we take. I mean, the exchange principle has always existed. Okay. So another verse here for you. Okay. Jesus said this in Luke 6:36, give and you will receive. Your gift will return to you in full, pressed down, shaken together to make room for more running over and poured into your lap. Okay. We live out our God created life. Those are powerful words, right? And then in Matthew 5, in a word, what I'm saying is grow up, your kingdom subjects. Now live like it. Live out your God created identity. Live generously and graciously toward others the way God lives toward you. In other words, if you really think about it, okay, like we're all under the leadership, the lordship of Jesus. And when we understand that, it's huge. Once we understand like God owns it all, and I tell you guys, that was a learning curve for me. I share this, gosh, on like, I don't even know when way past podcast, but I know I've talked about tithing before. I remember when I was first introduced to tithing, and I didn't do it then. Okay. I'm embarrassed to say I didn't do it. It was back in, gosh, I want to say like 2012. And I went to church with a really good friend of mine and they talked all about tithing and giving 10%. And I remember I knew her income at the time and I'm thinking like 10%. But like what I wasn't getting is 100% of it is because of God. And so you're just giving 10% back. But that's another whole discussion. But John Maxwell did this thing in church and it's pretty powerful. Okay. So he had $100 bill and like unbeknownst to anybody else on the side, he gave a man his $100 bill. Okay. So nobody in the audience knew that he did that. And then he like made an announcement and said, is there anybody here that's willing to give me $100? Now people are probably thinking about it and like, maybe I should give it to him. Maybe other people thinking like, you're very successful. You've got plenty. I need this. But there was one man, went right up to the front of the room and gave him the $100. All right. And so most of that room was like blown away that he gave it away so easily. Some people like, maybe that should have been me. Why didn't I give it away so easily? But here's the reality. This is the reason why it was so easy for him to give it away. It wasn't his. It was not his. John Maxwell gave it to him. He knew it was John Maxwell's money. So when John Maxwell asked for $100, he was so quick to come right to the front because he knew it didn't belong to him. Now, Here was a pretty powerful message. And I know it hit me like really right between the eyes, because even though I know it, it still gets powerful every time I learn it. People struggle with money because they believe that it's all theirs. You're not living a generous life believing that it's all yours. I believe the money that we earn belongs to Jesus. And so he gave us the ability to earn it. It's because of him. So when you even thinking of like the tithing, the 10% back, okay? So if somebody earns $1,000, technically it's $100 that should be given back. But the whole, if you really think about it, $100 is nothing if you realize that the whole $100 was because of Jesus. Does that make sense? People who live in scarcity never brought God into the picture. We think it's all ours. Everything we make is his. It's like on a loan to us. And scarcity mindset is really about God not being in the picture. When you bring God into the picture, everything begins to change. So I really want you to think of this, like God is sitting right beside each one of us. And we have tests every single day when it comes to abundance, when it comes to our finances, when it comes to giving, right? And then you think about it like, well, why would God test us? Why would he test us with money? It's the hardest thing we'll ever give up with anybody. I don't care who you are. It's the hardest thing you'll ever give up. So if you really think about this, and I know these were some questions that were kind of asked, how many of you know that we have an amazing and generous God? How many of us want to be like God? This is where we become Jesus-like. How many of us, if you really think about it, are ready to up your game, ready to live a generous life? Decide right now to live an abundant life over a scarcity life. And it does come down to sowing, more than you're ready to receive, to constantly plant those seeds. Okay. So when you think about it, it's two immediate mindsets. It's a way of thinking, right? So just like in a recap. So living a generous life means we live a yes life. We're going to constantly be filling our mind with all the positive things. We continually sow seeds. That's the second thing, to live a generous life. We attract people to God. That's a third way to live a generous life. The fourth is, I realize I'm actually glad I'm doing a recap because I don't think I labeled them above. We receive more than we can imagine, and we make people hungry for God. Scarcity thinking is about there is a need. Abundant thinking it's about the seed. And so to level up our life, our goal is to live an abundant life. So a few examples of scarcity thinking: there's never going to be enough. You're competing to be better than others. You're very stingy with your knowledge. You're not free with your helping to other people. You're kind of like skeptical. You're afraid of somebody else being better than you. You believe that there are hard times. You're a small thinker. You're avoiding risk. You're playing it safe, and you're doing every single thing in your power to avoid change. A few examples of abundant thinking: you know that there's plenty. You collaborate. You don't compete. You're so open to share, to help as many people as you can. You have trust and you build trust. You love healthy competition. You have a growth mindset. You know there's enough for everyone. You're a big thinker. You welcome change and you take ownership. So are you ready to live a more abundant life? Are you ready to live a generous life? Generosity begins when we believe in abundance. When we give, we experience an overflow. And it all begins in our minds. Love you, friends.